Good morning again. Welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple family service for Bodhi Day. My name is Naomi and I will be your MC this morning. We will begin with the ringing of the temple bell or Kansho that signifies the beginning of a temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Please sit quietly in your seat. Children, please come forward with your offering of flowers and light. If you are able to, please rise for the meditation, followed by the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and English in the red Jodo Shinshu service book on page 7.
Namanda, 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 namanda.
Please continue to stand. Sorry. For the recitation of loving kindness metta, and this can be found in both the purple book on page 32 or in your red book right in the inside cover. Okay. May all beings be happy and well.
May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May I be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to me. May I live in peace and harmony. May my family be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my teachers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my friends be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May strangers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my enemies be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Namo.
Thank you. Please be seated. And now please join Sensei in Sanbutsuge on page 9 in your red book.
Shakyamuni. 。  Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 Shakyamuni. 。 this most hallowed day in Buddhism, we remember and honor Buddha, who has set the stage for all sentient beings on the road to enlightenment and liberation. The Buddha's awakening, after so many years of difficult and painful ascetic practices, is the culmination of his efforts to attain spiritual liberation and awakening, for the purpose of finding a way out of suffering, not only for himself, but out of love and compassion for all sentient beings mired in suffering due to ignorance. This Bodhi Day of Awakening is a time of reflection for all of us who have been given the precious gift of enlightenment, a gift earned through hard, difficult practices, but motivated by the Buddha's compassion for all suffering beings. Let us honor the most honored one, Shakyamuni Buddha, through chanting of the sutras, singing of hymns, but above all, practicing the teachings in our daily lives to manifest our respect and appreciation for Buddha's attainment and sharing the way to enlightenment. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo.
Today's sutra is Sanbutsuge. It's found in the larger sutra. The Bodhisattva Dharmakara praises the Loksvara Raja Buddha and expresses his desire to become the Amida Buddha and makes 48 vows, thus establishing the Pure Land. While chanting, we join together in oneness with Dharmakara's aspiration to attain Buddhahood and work for the enlightenment of all beings. Please turn to the red Jodo Shinshu service book for the chanting of the sutra, Sanbutsuge, starts on page 47.
시간 이사이 극급 이사다이암 개시 법은 약세 노그만 무려 다이쇼 신여 고자 그여 이사이 시토 쇼분 훈여 그도 겐쇼 흑약인여 고자 쇼분 세카이 무흑하게 무슈센도 고묘 시쇼 헨시 쇼거근요세 쇼짐 이진 안료 료가사 거그도 다이치고 주 기묘 도조 초세는 거그녀 나이온 니무 도소 가토아이민 노단 이사이 지포라이쇼 신내준 쇼조 이토가 고그해라 그 암놈 고분 신묘 세가 신쇼 헌간노히 리키쇼 쇼요그지 보세섬 지혜무게 조료 시섬 지가 신교 계려 신시 쇼그덕주 가교 쇼짐 닌주 흑해
If you are able, please stand for the Gatha, the Bodhi Day, in the praises of the Buddha book on page 20. Thank you. Please be seated. And our speaker for today is Reverend.
Hello. Let's put our hands together in Gassho. Shakyamuni Tathagata appeared in this world solely to teach the ocean-like primal vow of Amida. We, an ocean of beings in an evil age of 5 defilements, should entrust ourselves to the Tathagata's words of truth. From the Shoshinge of Shinran Shonin, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Ohayo gozaimasu, good morning, and aloha to all of you. How is everyone doing? I just came back from a very tiring trip to the mainland for my second eligibility evaluation for a kidney transplant. And this time it was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is very, very cold. And I was shivering all the time I was there. Never got used to it. I used to live there though, but now no more. But I didn't mind, you know why? Because the trip was very important to me. It could be a game changer, you know. If I'm lucky enough to get a transplant, I might go back to working full-time. Here, yes. But also I got to stay with my siblings in New Jersey, which is a real break because, you know, living in Hawaii all by myself sometimes it gets very lonely, okay? But today it happens to be a special service day to observe a special holiday for us Buddhists. It is Bodhi Day, or the day that the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni, attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. Now, most of us are already familiar with the story of how the Buddha, after 6 years of doing ascetic practices, which entails pain, inflicting bodily pain on the body, denying oneself food or sleep, all for the purpose of eliminating desires which are considered the source of suffering or hindrances to enlightenment. Now, if you look at the picture right in front of you, that's how the Buddha became after he was practicing ascetic things. That was the point when he was eating only a grain of rice a day. No wonder he looked like that, yeah? Well, even a grain of rice is not enough to sustain a roach, you know, for a day. So that's how the Buddha became, because in those old days they believed that to deny the body all kinds of pleasure or even needs is the way to attain enlightenment. Now, what happened after he got to that stage, he came to the realization that that's not the way to attain enlightenment. And that's why he, you know, taught the teaching of the middle way. You're neither to go to the extreme nor too lax. It's like, you know, when we have a ukulele, you know, you're tuning it. If you tighten the strings too tight, it will break. That's the extreme. If it's too lax, you won't produce any music. Yeah? The Buddha came to the conclusion that neither the extreme of asceticism nor the indulgence of the senses in pleasure leads to spiritual awakening. So, as the story goes, after consuming a bowl of rice milk offered by the maiden Sujata, following severe fasting that reduced him to skin and bones, Shakyamuni Buddha regained his strength and resolved to sit under that Bodhi tree in meditation, vowing never to move from the spot until he attained awakening. Yeah? Very much, you know, when we practice that kind of thing, we're not going to survive. Especially important for somebody like Shakyamuni Buddha, who is always doing meditation, because the mind involves the brain and it needs a lot of oxygen. And what nourishes the brain or supplies nutrition to the brain is food. Yeah? So we can always relate to that. You know, sometimes when we're too hungry, we don't think properly. Yeah? We should avoid that. You know, that's not good. Yeah, we're not aiming for enlightenment that way anyway. We'll explain later. The story of the Buddha's enlightenment is well known among Buddhists everywhere in the world. And although there are several interpretations of what actually happened on the night the Buddha was enlightened, it is generally accepted that it was a profound mystical experience of awakening to the truth or reality in the universe. It was the night that Shakyamuni Buddha conquered all of his passions, desires, and through attainment of the Buddha eye, saw at once the past, present, and future. Fantastic, you know. Can you see the past, the present, and the future all at the same time? No way. No can. Very, very mystical, I would say. In the Pali Canon, one of those writings that they had, there are several discourses said to be by Buddha himself relating to the story of his enlightenment. In one of these discourses, called the Longer Discourse to Sakaka, the Buddha describes his enlightenment in 3 stages. So he was sitting there under the Bodhi tree meditating. During the first night, it moved 3 nights. The first watch of the night rather, the Buddha discovered all of his past lives in the cycle of rebirth, realizing that he had been born and reborn countless times before, even as an animal. Now, all of you are familiar with Jataka tales, yeah, which we used to teach the children. That was the life of the Buddha. He was reborn as an animal, you know, he have all these stories to tell. So in other words, you know, his enlightenment did not come in one lifetime. It took several. Okay? During the second watch, the Buddha rediscovered the law of karma and the importance of living by the eightfold path. We all know the law of karma, yeah? Good things bring good results, bad deeds bring bad results. We're all responsible for our own action. Okay? During the third watch of the night, the Buddha discovered the 4 noble truths, and with that, he finally reached nirvana. Okay. All traditions agree that as the morning star rose in the sky in the early morning, the third watch of the night, Siddhartha, or the Buddha, finally found the answers he sought, and he became enlightened and experienced nirvana. Having done so, Siddhartha now became the Buddha. He already earned that title. You know? It means the awakened one, all right? By becoming the Buddha, Siddhartha has attained the most difficult of all Buddhist practice, and that is realizing nirvana. And the nirvana is defined as the extinction, the blowing away of all passions, the attainment of complete wisdom to eliminate suffering, and the bliss and tranquility of the enlightened state. Now there are 2 stages of nirvana. The first one, the Buddha, was just regular nirvana. When he passed away, that was called parinirvana, the final one, the dissolution of his body, and he became completely enlightened. But it's always interesting to speculate that when the Buddha first attained his enlightenment, was he still suffering pain or discomfort or any desire? That's food for thought. But the thing is, you know, the Buddha did feel pain and suffering just like a regular, ordinary human being, but he did not suffer from it. I don't know if we can do that, you know. Why do we suffer when we feel discomfort or pain? Because we worry so much that something bad is happening to our body, that it could lead to us dying or something like that. That is the source of suffering when we feel discomfort or pain, yeah? Okay. So this description from the view of the unenlightened mind, you know, the blowing away of passion is incomprehensible. For the mind, our mind that is not enlightened is limited by the defilement or impurities that characterize the realm of samsara. We all live in this samsaric existence. It's a world of darkness, of ignorance and suffering. It all seems mystical, and it appears that the Buddha has evolved into a being which is beyond an ordinary human. It is true, the Buddha has transcended the mundane world, but in reality, he still remained very much human. He taught for 45 years and peacefully died at the age of 80 after an illness brought about by something he ate for his last meal. His attainment of enlightenment was no easy task for the Buddha because he practiced difficult ascetic things for 6 years after he left his palace. And not only that, during the night of his enlightenment, he saw numerous reincarnations in his past lives before becoming a Buddha. Add to that was when he was trying to enlighten under the Bodhi tree, somebody tempted him or attacked him. That was Mara, yeah? He sent all of his first thing, I think Mara is a reincarnation of evil or something like that, and then he sent all of his beautiful daughters, maybe scantily clad, and he was trying to tempt the Buddha to get out of enlightenment. He did not budge. The Buddha didn't say, I'm not interested. Then he attacked the Buddha with flaming arrows. But then the Buddha, when the arrows reach him, it turned into flowers. Wow. So in other words, that is a metaphor for, fighting your demons, your own temptations, all the evil desires within you. And then if you can do that perfectly, well, probably we can reach enlightenment, but I'm going to delve into that much later. That's also a difficult thing. It took many rounds of reincarnations and suffering before he finally achieved the ultimate goal of Buddhism, which is nirvana. Nirvana, or enlightenment, is the final evolution on the Buddhist path. That is our supreme goal as Buddhists in the spiritual path. But in our Jodo Shinshu tradition, nirvana is also synonymous with birth in the Pure Land. Okay? The both are actually one and the same thing, becoming a Buddha. But the path that we Jodo Shinshu Buddhists follow differs from the other sects of Buddhism in that the Jodo Shinshu path involves total entrusting to the Buddha of infinite life and boundless compassion, which is Amida Buddha. It is total reliance on the compassionate vow of Amida Buddha to save all beings from the realm of ignorance and suffering and deliver all to birth in the Pure Land. No one is excluded. According to the teachings, there is no requirement for moral purity, and even the most evil of all beings is included in the salvation process. What is required in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism is for a person to realize and acknowledge his imperfections and limits on affecting his own salvation. In other words, the realization in Jodo Shinshu for the person is the realization not of Buddhahood yet, but of the hopelessness of self-power for attaining awakening. And only through the other power of Amida, we call it in Japanese tariki, is enlightenment possible. Other Buddhist sects and traditions emphasize seeking and discovering of one's inherent Buddha nature, hidden by the defilement of worldly passions, through self-efforts to rediscover that hidden Buddha nature within. Those are the other sects' way of attaining awakening. Why the difference in the approach to Buddhahood with Jodo Shinshu? And how does the Pure Land school of Buddhism justify total reliance on Amida rather than the traditional method employed by Shakyamuni Buddha? The answer can be explained through the concept of the 3 ages of Buddhism. The Pure Land Gate was justified by the theory of history in Buddhism called Mappo, the age of disappearance of the teachings. According to this theory, the first 500 years after the Buddha's life and passing away was the period of true teaching, where devotees follow the teachings, practice, and attain realization. Very easy at that time, 500 years. The second period of 500 to 1,000 years after the Buddha passed away is called the semblance teaching, where there was teaching and practice, but no realization. In the final period, purportedly beginning in 1052 in Japan and lasting 10,000 years, there is only teaching, but no practice or realization. This is the age they call the age of Mappo, the Dharma decay, the age of Honen, Shinran, and Ippen, who established the major Pure Land movements. We, the ones living in this present time, are all within this age of Mappo, we call it, a Dharma decline or decay, because it has been over 2,600 years since the historical Buddha passed away. People are so removed and distant from the true original teaching of the Buddha that awakening and realization are now so very difficult, if not impossible to attain. Enlightenment is no longer possible by our own self-effort. That, Amida Buddha's other power, is the only way for those of us living in this age of Mappo to ever reach the realm of enlightenment, conceptualized as the Jodo, or the Pure Land. Of course, other non-Pure Land Buddhist denominations deny that enlightenment can no longer be achieved through self-power. Well, I don't argue with that. One of the first things I learned when I went to Japan to study to be a minister is, when somebody from Shingon or, Zen tells you that, you cannot attain enlightenment through Amida. You have to do your own self-power. Don't argue with them. I tell, go ahead, do it on your own terms. But I know I can't do it. There is no way. And they thought that the original Shakyamuni Buddha never taught that concept, of Amida, but that is not true. The concept of Amida and the Pure Land is mentioned in the larger Sutra, where the historical Buddha Shakyamuni described to Ananda, one of his disciples and most trusted one, the past life of Amida. In that sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha describes in great detail Sukhavati, that is the Pure Land, the Sanskrit term for the Pure Land, and its inhabitants, and how they were able to attain rebirth there. The text also provides a detailed account of the various levels and beings in the Mahayana Buddhist cosmology. Included in the larger sutra also are the 48 vows made by Amida Buddha to save all beings. Because the larger sutra is held dearly by the followers of Pure Land Buddhism, and in that sutra, Shakyamuni expounds the Pure Land path to salvation, Shinran Shonin declared in his work, the Sushinge, that the sole purpose of Shakyamuni Buddha's coming into this world is to teach the ocean-like primal vow of Amida. That is the only purpose why Shakyamuni Buddha came to this world, according to Shinran. So in other words, Shakyamuni Buddha came solely for the purpose of guiding us to the gate, to the Pure Land gate of Amida Buddha's Pure Land teaching. Shinran experienced the concept of Mappo himself during the time he spent training to be a monk in Mount Hiei in Kyoto. No matter how he tried, he could not clear his mind of doubts and blind passions. His self-efforts at awakening led him to nowhere, just like Shakyamuni Buddha's ascetic practices also went to naught. It was through meeting his teacher Honen that he was able to learn of the primal vow that led to his realization that the only path for him was the Pure Land path. And that total entrusting in Amida's vow is what finally cleared Shinran's mind of doubts and fears of falling into another round of birth and death in his afterlife. In those days, people believed and feared so much the afterlife because they say if you're not enlightened, you're going to be reborn into a lower realm of existence. Maybe it could be a hell if you're that really bad, you've been killing people, doing all these kinds of things. You could be born as an animal because all you wanted to do in your life was sleep and eat. Yeah? And if you're so greedy, you're going to be born in the realm of hungry ghosts. Yeah? But believe it or not, the human realm is part of that cycle. But why are we fortunate to be in this human realm, although this is part of the cycle of birth and death? It's because it's only in this realm that we're able to get out of it. Yeah, all the other realms, can. Yeah, animals can't say Namo Amida Butsu or read the sutras. Yeah. So this is very important. That's why we always declare in our service book that hard it is to be born a human being. Now we're living in it. So it means that we should not live our lives in vain. We should always live it according to the teachings of the Buddha. We ourselves can very much relate to Shinran Shonin's spiritual experience. How many of us in this present age has the time to meditate, to do the necessary but difficult practices of spiritual cultivation, or perfectly uphold the precepts of the teachings in order to awaken spiritually? Practically none. We all have our skeleton in the closets, they call it, yeah? Yeah, we're not perfect, yeah? We are living in a much more complex world now, and we are burdened by other tasks necessary to survive in our present world, that we cannot devote 100% of our time to try to achieve enlightenment ourselves in an age when only the teachings remain and no realization or enlightenment is possible. If Shinran was unable to achieve any breakthrough in his search for enlightenment, despite his vigorous self-effort, what chance is there for us who do not have the time nor even make efforts towards enlightenment? We are fortunate to have the Pure Land teachings as handed down to us, first by Shakyamuni Buddha, and then all the succeeding masters that made the Pure Land teachings, particularly the Nembutsu path, as their method of practice for enlightenment. So it was handed to us. Without Amida's primal vow as our safety net in this age of Mappo, or the degeneration of the Dharma, the enlightenment that the historical Buddha Shakyamuni achieved under the Bodhi tree some 2,600 years ago would have been lost forever, or become so far beyond our reach. Our own enlightenment could be sudden or gradual, but nothing comparable to what the Buddha achieved under that Bodhi tree. Our enlightenment at the mundane or ordinary life level is one of seeing and accepting that we are truly imperfect beings. That is the foremost enlightenment we achieve. Realization that I can't do anything to survive, no matter how many times I do good deeds, I'm still imperfect. Yeah, that's very important. If we don't acknowledge that, we're not going to go forward in our Jodo Shinshu path. With that realization of the futility of working our own salvation, we come to entrust ourselves to the Buddha, Amida Buddha, without any trace of doubt. What do you call that? Shinjin, yes. When that mind of complete and full entrusting comes about, Amida Buddha does the rest. We are grasped, never again abandoned, and assured of our birth in the Pure Land and full Buddhahood to follow. So no more recycling, no more rebirth and going back to the world of suffering once we are grasped by the Buddha. On the observance of the special holiday for us Buddhists, the Bodhi Day, let us reflect on Shakyamuni Buddha's enlightenment and what it means for us who are now living in the age of Mappo. Let us reflect and rejoice at what Shakyamuni Buddha accomplished that night of enlightenment. For if we accept the notion that his sole purpose in coming to this world was to bring the teachings of Amida as the one who can deliver us from suffering, and the Pure Land as the place where we all are destined to go eventually, then Shakyamuni Buddha's enlightenment was a triumph for all sentient beings in the past, present, and future. His enlightenment and liberation sets the stage for everyone else's enlightenment and liberation. We are approaching Christmas season. We all have Christmas trees in our house. Now, I'm not going to condemn all of you for having that. That is acceptable. But just think, the Christmas tree for us is the Bodhi tree. And there's a present, only one present underneath, the present of enlightenment. Okay, let's conclude by saying that Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei, for that history lesson so that we can appreciate and or accept today. If you are able, please stand for the Gatha Hotokesama 2 in the Praises of the Buddha book on page 74, and then continue to stand for the Nembutsu in the red Jodo Shinshu service book on page 135.
Happiness to one's family, to bring peace to all, one must first discipline and control one's own mind. If a man can control his mind, he can find the way to enlightenment, and all wisdom and virtue will naturally come to him. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Namo.
Please be seated. And Dennis, ohayo gozaimasu.
Ohayo gozaimasu. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Reverend Saul. That was a very interesting historical message, but I think it's a very important message. And I think, for me at least, I kind of forgot some things, but you refreshed my memory. So thank you for all that. Yeah, I don't ever want to be aesthetic, I guess. You know, kind of how to nourish this body without good food. Thank you, Naomi, for being the MC, and welcome back. Thank you, Prudence, for being our greeter. And thank you so much, Lisa, for being here to play the piano. And Ryan, of course, is doing the video. We have one guest, Evan. Evan is a student at Kapiolani Community College, and as part of his religion class, he's here to observe and, I guess, learn a few things. And perhaps Evan can meet with Reverend while we're having refreshments. Evan, please stand. Thank you. Okay, next Sunday will be a regular family service. Reverend Saul will be leading the service, and Prudence Kusana will be providing a Dharma message. Following the service, we will be holding our annual general membership meeting. No refreshments will be served, sorry. During the meeting, meeting of the members, we'll be confirming and installing the new officers and directors for 2025 and 2026. And then following the general membership meeting, the members will gather for lunch at the new Mui Koi restaurant. We do need to finalize the count. I do have a sign-up sheet in the back. So if you haven't already, please sign up or come and see me. The parking at the restaurant is limited, so we could possibly carpool from here. That I think will work out better. And this year we're doing the holiday giving program again. This year will benefit the Sento's workshop at Kapiolani Medical Center for Women and Children. If you'd like to participate, please give a check made payable to Windward Buddhist Temple to either Gerald, Joy, or myself. In the memo section of the check, please write Sento's workshop. At the end of the period, which will be next Sunday, the 15th, we'll have Java will prepare a final check for the total amount of donations, and we'll present it to the Center workshop. If you have any questions, we have a flyer on the bulletin board, or come and see me. Just as a reminder, this is ending of the year already. I remember when it was January. But there are 2 more services left. December 22nd is the remembrance service. This is when remembering the passing of a loved one, family, friend, in December of any year. Then the final will be a year-end service on December 29. Okay? I want to call up Cynthia.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, if you have a birthday this month, December, please come up to the front. And I know some of you have it. I know some of you are here. So please come up. Come on. Going to be recognized for your birthday. It's your birthday month. All right, everybody's here. Yes.
Don't be shy, Ron.
Ron is the only guy, but that's okay.
Hey.
Great. Happy birthday. So now we're going to sing. Okay? So, okay, wait, Lisa's going to play. Okay, on the count of 3. Oh, you're going to take a photo. Okay, on the count of 3, we're going to sing. Okay? 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ronnie. Happy birthday to you.
Yay, happy birthday. Thank you.
How old are you now? Okay, we'll be having our intergenerational activity today after refreshments. If you remember last week, Prudence showed we're going to make, what do you call it again? Snow globe. Okay, that'll be interesting. So hang around. As part of today's refreshment is, if you recall in the story, the Buddha was in very skinny state, and a young maiden came and fed him milk rice pudding. And we're having that as part of our refreshment, prepared by Prudence. So enjoy. Okay, and I think, unless there's any other questions, if not, let's go over the words of Thanksgiving. It'll be on the screen. We are truly grateful for this wonderful food, a gift of life. May we share its benefits with all beings. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people and all forms of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Itadakimasu. Thank you.
Thank you.